Previously thought black holes are destructive, that they're actually creative, and the same pattern happens at every single level of reality. So from a black hole in the center of the galaxy to the level of the atom and below. What I've done with my work is, even though this sounds like a crazy idea, is actually accumulated the actual astrophysics data, and most powerfully, I've made a lot of predictions that have, come true from observations by NASA. I mean, they're not making these observations because of my book, I hasten to add, but they found certain things out that, they're not expecting. And I was totally expecting that, because once you understand there's a simple pattern, you understand how everything fits together. That goes at every single level. So, what most of the black hole lies beyond the perception horizon, and in the form of light. And the creative principle is that it spirals down to what we call our reality, which lays below the speed of light, below the perception horizon. And at that boundary, the light splits into an electron, which is a particle of matter, and a particle of antimatter. I mean, it varies according to what black hole level you're talking about, but so that's the basic principle of creation. And so you get these electrons that are appearing just below the speed of light from this creative process. And that's indeed what we see in our telescopes. And so far, the astrophysicists, have not been able to explain it. Why do we see electrons coming at just below the speed of light, streaming out of black holes? And they're doing that because they've only just reached our reality. They've only just slowed down to our reality. We see them at like 95% the speed of light. And this motif goes throughout the whole of reality. And the other side of it is the black holes breathe. So you get the positron and electron, the matter and the antimatter, recombining again and forming gamma ray bursts. They recombine and they form light in the form of gamma rays, and that's why we see gamma ray radiation all across the sky. Very, very powerful gamma ray bursts. And because it's breathing, that's why it's intermittent. And currently, the astrophysicists don't understand these patterns because they think they're explosions. But explosions would appear in a certain way. They would be very, very bright to start off with and then die away. That's not what we see. We actually see flashes, and sometimes these flashes are very bright. They can last seconds, they can last days, even weeks, and then they'll fall away again, and then they'll come again. And so there's been all sorts of strange explanations put about, like black holes burp on their food, and black holes are eating this and that, and it's hilarious, and it shows a scientific paradigm that is grasping at straws. They it doesn't fit. The data is not fitting their theories anymore. We've got to turn it around, realize that we're talking about the same pattern. Nature is simple at the end of the day. Nature is simple and elegant, and we're talking about the same pattern that's going all the way down. Even the Earth, our own weather, lightning is the same. We found antimatter coming out of thunderstorms, gamma ray bursts coming out of thunderstorms. Lightning is the electron discharge from the black holes that are thunderstorms. So we're seeing this coming at every single level. So once you get the simple pattern, you can start to make predictions. You can understand why these anomalies are occurring. The data is showing that the old theories are not correct, and we've got to move on to this new theory that is simple, elegant, and can explain a lot of the phenomena that we see in nature. Um, yes, yeah, it is the interface between the deeper reality. So what we call the physical is just one part of the picture, really. But it's a way that the higher order of what really creates us and what really creates everything that we see around us. It's also occurring at every level of our bodies. The central black hole of our body, you could call the heart chakra. And so you see the kind of the phi ratio, which is very ubiquitous in nature, is also at play in our own bodies. So I think that the central black hole is the heart chakra, and the chakras, which are often ridiculed by um, current scientists. These are the major black holes, the major creative centers of how our bodies come into physical being. Because I mean, at the end of the day, we are a bunch of you know atoms and molecules that have some
Hmm.
sort of loose association, and when the transition that we call death occurs, the whole thing deteriorates and gets recycled. We're not our physical beings. There's something else, that there's a higher order that keeps us together in life. So what is determining that higher order? So there must be something, a bigger blueprint, and this is the same problem as to how do embryos form? You coming from one cell. Where is the blueprint? So I think this, the creative process is coming from a higher level and determining the physical, and so that's also within us, within our life processes as well. You're also seeing this sort of dynamics of your emotional life occur in the same sort of way. With this polarity shift between matter and antimatter, where you see a situation as completely polar. Like one minute you're like, oh, I don't like this person, or I don't like this situation, and then suddenly you get this aha moment, and you go, right, now I see why that happened. That's the same sort of process of the matter and antimatter coming together and annihilating into light. So it goes not only within your own self, but within your life as well. I think that the main thing is that I have spent all this time to actually look at these examples and get the evidence for this sort of behavior of the spiraling of the matter and antimatter. Interestingly, there's a lot of evidence to do with the Earth, so the terrestrial gamma ray flashes, as I mentioned earlier, that are to do with thunderstorms, volcanoes. You see lightning in volcanoes. You see the same sort of periodic eruptions happening.